One mic.
All I need is one mic.
What's the name of the show?
One mic with Big Mike.
You know, ain't nobody getting hurt, ain't nobody, there's no crime being committed.
And they say his style is too urban for the radio.
This is real life stuff that's happened to me.
Well, you know what?
You, and you.
One mic with Big Mike.
I like to be able to do what I want to do.
A sports talk show, but no subject matter is off limits.
Meek Mill's concert is not called the Hell Yeah I Banged Khloe Kardashian concert.
And now, your host.
Put your hands together for the one, the only
Big Mike.
All I need is one mic.
All right, let's try this again, man. Had some connection issues the first time I tried to start the show. Welcome in, everybody, to the One Mic with Big Mike show. Of course, I am Big Mike, back from a long weekend in the midst, I guess, of an extra long weekend for me and a long weekend for you guys out there. It is Memorial Day. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. Hopefully, you're around your family, doing the things that you do on Memorial Day, and checking out the One Mic with Big Mike podcast. If you want to share the experience with somebody else, make sure you tell them to go check out my website, onemicwithbigmike.com. That is the number one, MICWITHBIGMIKE.com. They can also check me out on Spreaker. That is my broadcasting vehicle, Spreaker.com. That's SPREAKER.com. You can go there. You can sign up for your free Spreaker account. And once you do that, search for my show, One Mic with Big Mike, and then follow me. Give me a follow on Spreaker, and you guys can also listen live. You can get the archived episodes from Spreaker. You can get them from my website, like I mentioned earlier. You can get them from TuneIn. You can get them from iTunes. You can get them from YouTube. You can get them from a gamut of places, man. If you end up missing or you can't stick around for the entire show, but you like to hear how everything kind of progresses, you can always go back. You can check out everything I've done since the inception of the show, all the way back into November. Yeah, started this thing, I guess it was November. It was either November 5th or November 6th is when I started the show, man. So you guys can take a gander, take a listen to all those things, or, share them with your friends and all those kind of things. Speaking of sharing, make sure you guys are also following me on social media. Twitter and Instagram, both the same handle, One Mic with Big Mike. The number one, MICWITHBIGMIKE. And as Facebook goes, my Facebook page is ONEMICWITHBIGMIKE. Give me, what is it? You follow, you like somebody's page, like my page, I guess is what I'm supposed to say about that. So yeah, it's Memorial Day. I kind of shudder a little bit at doing the whole Happy Memorial Day thing. I'm not a real big holiday guy. If you listen to the show, you pretty much get that from me, that I'm not really about the whole Easter and Christmas and Thanksgiving and all those ridiculous things. But today is to me more, it's not even a holiday. It's not, holiday being short for Holy Day. It's not even really that, man. It's more of a day of, recognition, man, and a day of appreciation. And for me personally, man, it's a day that's set aside, man, for you to recognize the sacrifices and the sacrifices of people who are willing to do what I'm definitely not. You know what I mean? My DNA is written in a way where I run in the opposite direction of the danger. The people who this day is set aside for, they've laid down their lives, and today has been a day has been chosen to memorialize those people. And the reason I don't really want to say Happy Memorial Day is because we're actually, as a country, we're kind of in the midst of a couple of wars right now. You know what I mean? This is a little bit different from when I was younger, where, the things we thought about on Memorial Day were Vietnam or World War II, things that, were decades before I was even born, or maybe a decade or two before I was born in the case of Vietnam. This is a situation where, there are people who probably, are mourning the loss of family members they lost this week. You know what I mean? And it's kind of difficult for me to, form my lips to say Happy Memorial Day in that sense. And, I know everybody's out there family and drinking and barbecuing and all those good things. Shout out to my guy, Jarvis Davis. He got his grill situation going on Facebook. I saw what he was doing. Wasn't really convinced that he was putting in the work required to do some real grilling, but, it is what it is. So I know everybody's, having fun. By the way, be safe, man. I know it's kind of late in the day. It's like 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time right now. if you're listening live. But still, man, be safe. You know, if you're gonna get out there and drive, make sure you're in the car and the person behind the wheel is someone who hasn't been drinking. The cops will definitely be out there. Make sure you guys have your seatbelts on and all those things. And I don't know if this is one of those days where people decide to like shoot guns off. But if that's a part of your plan, like go ahead and X that, B. Like don't do that, because for whatever reason, the people who tend to do that stuff on 4th of July and New Year's and all that kind of stuff, I don't think they understand gravity. That bullet is gonna come down, man. Every year, man, people lose their lives just doing their normal business, and a bullet falls out the sky and kills somebody, man. Don't be that dude, man. Don't be that because you don't know it's you. You know what I mean? You don't know it's you. The police ain't gonna know who it is, and it's a shame that I would be. It would hurt my feelings to know that happened to someone, even if it didn't happen near me, and I was one of the people participating in that type of thing. So, man, get you some fireworks or whatnot and have fun with that. If this is one, I don't know if this is one of those days people do that, to be honest with you. I know black people will find any excuse to pop off their guns. So, just, you know, if this is being heard by one person that plans on doing that, like, go ahead and X that plan, my man or my girl. Just X that plan out. So that's kind of what I wanted to start with. Just, you know, kind of giving my thoughts on the day. I ain't do nothing. I got up this morning when I didn't cut my grass. Had to put that off because we had a kind of a crazy weekend around here. I wasn't here Friday. I'll tell you guys about that a little bit later on in the show. I didn't do a show Friday because of, you know, I had some family stuff to take care of. I'll give you guys the rundown on my crazy weekend a little bit later on in the show. If you guys want to be involved in the show, make sure you check out the live interactive chat room. All you got to do is click the little thought bubble that you see on your streaming player. You're listening right now. Just click the thought bubble. If you're doing it via the website, onemicwithbigmike.com, all you got to do is click on that thought bubble, use your Facebook account from my understanding, and you guys can be a part of the show via my live interactive chat room. Also, you can do it via Spreaker as well. All right, today's show. The Monday edition. I don't know how long I'm going to keep y'all. Sound like one of those black preachers. I ain't going to keep y'all all day. And the next thing you know, you there at 3 o'clock when you came to the 11 o'clock service. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm going to get this stuff off my chest because, like I said, I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys on Friday. And a lot has happened between Friday morning and today at 7 o'clock. Or Monday at 7 o'clock, Memorial Day, for those people who may be listening later on or downloaded the podcast or whatnot. So as far as today's show goes, of course, at the bottom of the hour, we got to take a daily look back in a segment called On This Day, where I give you guys a couple of little, you know, historical sports tidbits and things that happened on this particular day in history. Also, maybe I get a chance to talk a little bit about Ricky Williams' new business venture. It's Ricky Williams, the running back, Ricky Williams. You can probably guess what it involves. So I might get a chance to, you know, have some fun with that here as the show progresses. Also, I want to talk about the Jets. You know, not the Jets in particular, but there was a conversation I had when I was working at a radio station here a couple of years ago. We were talking, and people would always freak out about these quarterback contracts and whatnot. And there was always a question asked about, you know, what are they going to do about it? I want to talk about what the Jets are doing in regards to Ryan Fitzpatrick, their starting quarterback last year, who became a free agent and has yet to receive an acceptable offer from his team. So I want to definitely get in there. Of course, man, we got Game 7 tonight in the NBA Western Conference Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder, Golden State Warriors, awesome game took place on Saturday night. And you know what? I didn't even put this on my notes, but if you guys want to jump in the chat, I want to talk to some people about what you did yesterday. Like the Indianapolis 5,000, what was it, 5,000, 500, what it is. The car races was on yesterday, but I don't know too many people who are into that. So what went on yesterday, man? It was no sports to look forward to all day long. Like what did people do? Yeah, get in the chat room, man. OneMicWithBigMike.com on the streaming player. Just click that little thought bubble. You guys can jump right in. And the Cavs took care of business in 6 games against the Toronto Raptors. I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about what that means and what's happening right now in the Eastern Conference. You know, LeBron James is going to his sixth straight finals. You know what I mean? 7th altogether. And I know the memes are out there. Michael Jordan say, yeah, going to 6 in a row, winning 6 in a row is way different. Yeah, it is, but it still ain't nothing to, this ain't nothing to sneeze at, what's happening right now. But I want to talk about that in concert with what's going on, what may be the mindset of other teams in the Eastern Conference right now. And, of course, on Friday, was it Friday? I was all prepared to talk about this situation at Baylor. I mentioned earlier the show started in November. And in November, I was talking about this kind of stuff. What's been described as an epidemic of sexual assault on college campuses across the country. Saw this documentary called Hunting Ground. If you go to my Facebook page, One Mike with Big Mike, spelled ONEMICWITHBIGMIKE, there's a link to this documentary, man, and I strongly suggest if you have a kid, just got out of graduation season, kids graduating from high school and all that kind of stuff, you got a kid, a male or female child that's going away to college, I think it will be very responsible for you as a parent to check this documentary out, man, to see what, you dropping your kids off at school, man, and there's some things that are going on that really shouldn't be going on. And, as the show progresses, I want to talk about what may be the things that are probably contributing to this quote-unquote epidemic, and just give my thoughts on it as well. So Friday, Art Briles, the coach of the Baylor Bears who kind of rose to national prominence here in very recent time, man. Maybe the last, like RG3 was there a couple years ago, so maybe the last 5 years or so, they've risen to national prominence. They've been mentioned in the national championship conversation, year in and year out, after being a team that no one even really paid attention to. They're in Texas, so you got Texas, you got Texas Tech, you got Texas A&M. There's a little bit of a list before you get to Baylor football. And it presumably all came crashing down on Friday with the dismissal of Art Briles, the Ken Starr, the president. I was reading something today that said he was fired. Initially, what I heard was that he was demoted and he was given, he was a chancellor, and I guess he was kept on as a professor of something or the other. I don't really know how that process works, how, you're not the president anymore, but you're the chancellor. Because I do remember at Missouri when they had the protest about the racial injustices on campus, as they perceived them to be, that the chancellor and the president were fired. So Did Baylor just not have a chancellor, or did they have a chancellor and it's move on, or do you have multiple chancellors? I don't know how that works, but I did read some stuff today that said he was inevitably fired. So I'm not sure of what, how much accuracy is in what I'm saying. And all in all, that is kind of the shrapnel from the bomb that went off. That there was a culture. I'll say still is. Just because you fire a couple people, it doesn't just clear everything up. There's this culture at Baylor, in the city of Waco, that is I think very prevalent around the country now, as it pertains to big time college football. You guys have, if you listen to the show, you've heard me say on many occasions that that moniker of amateurism is so stupid, it's so archaic, and just it doesn't have a place in this thing called college, especially in college football and basketball. In lacrosse or polo or whatever, yeah, you could probably swing that. But college football, especially in this case we're talking about college football, is too big of a business to still be maintaining that it's about amateurism. And what we're starting to see more and more, as more schools like Baylor, more schools like Ole Miss, more schools like TCU, schools that weren't ever really thought about when you start talking about football. Usually, for the last, 25 years, there's a few schools you think about with football. The Florida schools, Miami, Florida, Florida State, USC, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia. Certain schools, they just bring up that thought of football. Not Baylor. Not no damn Baylor. But then all of a sudden you see these teams, rising to levels unseen by even them. Robert Griffin III won the Heisman Trophy out of Baylor. You dig what I'm saying? And the problem to me, before I get into like the details of all this stuff that's going on, the problem to me, it resides in the lust for money. Just read today, Baylor's it's the largest Baptist university in the world. So there's that. There is a religious element to the school. Schools like Baylor and Notre Dame. There are, TCU stands for Texas Christian. SMU, the famed SMU with the death penalty stuff. Southern Methodist University. So to me, there is no. It's not a far cry to say that a lot of this stuff, man, and the way that women are treated, that's a part of it in this situation. Not in every situation, obviously, because these cases are everywhere, and I'm gonna talk about that here a little bit later. They're everywhere, not just in these schools that have religious ties to them. So when you talk about what's happening, you see it so much. You see it with guys like Rick Pitino. You see it with guys like, in this case, Art Briles, where these coaches, these de facto emperors, how can I forget Jim Boeheim and Roy Williams? They want to have it both ways. They want to be at the top, the all-knowing, the all-encompassing figure to these large programs. But then when some crap hits the fan, no one knows anything. You know what I mean? Like, look, I'm just a football coach. But wait, you're the dude that's getting all the credit. When things are going right and people are using terms like, oh, he does it the right way. Oh, he's such a this. He's turning these boys into men and all these. He's a father figure and all these accolades that people throw at you. It's all good. You don't turn any of that down. Like, nah, it's not just me. You're not humble and non-knowing then. But when somebody brings up academic improprieties, when somebody brings up money being spent on hoes and dancers for recruits, when somebody brings up sexual assault that's running rampant through your football program, like guys with multiple cases against them, dudes that are doing decades in jail right now, that play ball for you. You can't act like it ain't what it is. So this Baylor case is one of there's a lot of layers to this. Like, this show really has a couple of topics. This is Game 7 tonight, and I already did the Memorial Day thing. You know what I mean? I already kind of said my piece on Memorial Day. Because this Baylor thing over the weekend, like I'm getting little bits of it and reading and going back, reading the Dallas Daily News. Is that what it's called? Dallas Star, I think it's called. And getting these archived writings on the things that have gone down there. And it's, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, it's deplorable, but it's very commonplace. Again, I'm going to mention to you guys the documentary, the CNN documentary called Hunting Ground. Check that out. Go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/ONEMICWITHBIGMIKE. There's a link to the documentary. I saw it in November, and today, it wasn't much to do, so I watched it again today to make sure I got, some facts and figures and things to share with you guys, man, in case you don't have time to watch it or you don't feel like watching it. But I think it's something that should be brought to the forefront, and people should speak honestly about it, and that's what I hope to do. I hope to speak honestly about it once I'm through with this Baylor situation. Baylor, the same school who, by the way, tried to cover up a murder, a murder in their basketball program about a decade plus ago. There's there's Jerry Sandusky, right? And there's this. And if you don't see the similarities and you don't see where this is the same in many, many ways, there's something wrong with your innards and what's going on within you. You know what I mean? And then here's the thing that people don't need to say, like, yeah, I mean, if it was my sister, but it's not. And you should still have the same empathy, man. Like, people don't send their kids to school to deal with that. You understand what I'm saying? And the way some of these young ladies are treated, in the case of Baylor. Let me get this article where it talks about how the Waco police was even in on it. They were allowing the football program, not even just the university, the football program to kind of bury reports of sexual assault on their campus. Yeah, that can't be a thing. That can't be a thing at all, man. Let me. This article from the Dallas Star Telegram. It talks about Baylor creating a culture of silence. You know what I mean? Making it seem like they were going to do something. They were going to be active in finding justice for these young ladies who were bringing forth these reports, and doing absolutely nothing. In some cases, even suggesting that this ain't what you want to do. And in other cases, putting the young lady on trial. What were you wearing? How many times did you say no? How did you say no? It's like, come on, man. That's ridiculous, man. And I've long proclaimed, I've done it on this show, and I've talked about, man, like how the older I get, and the more access I get to like television and not just like foolery television, but things that tell stories of the things that go on in other parts of this country. The world hates women, man. And say what you want to, like whatever religion you believe in, for the most part, your religion hates women. You know what I mean? And I remember asking my mom that one time, like, how do you justify being such an avid follower of your religion and knowing that you really ain't crap? You know what I mean? Like, seriously. And I guess maybe that's another story for another day, but it's very prevalent in these situations, these things that go on campus, and the way that a woman's well-being is put aside for the benefit of the dollar, and that's what it boils down to, the money. You know what I mean? There is no way that a school president, or in the case of Art Briles, can justify a reputation, the reputation of his school or his football program being one in which women are raped. Like, even if it happens and he does something and it gets into the news, it still becomes a thing, especially for the amount of times it happened at Baylor. Like, these dudes was fielding repeat offenders. One dude, I think up to 6 times. He's in jail now. Tevin something or the other. How is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, I don't. Yeah, I don't really. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the article. I'm trying to find this article right now. The crisis. They're calling it a crisis at Baylor. 2 former Baylor players have been sentenced to prison for rape, and at least 4 others stand accused of intimate partner violence or sexual assault. That's a problem, man. That's not one of those things where, Laramie Tunsil smoked weed. And we'll talk about him and the Ole Miss situation here shortly. That's a lot different. It's not a little bit different. That's a lot different than saying, well, I mean, as a coach saying, like, how am I supposed to know that this kid is smoking weed? If he didn't fail any tests and all that kind of stuff, that's viable to me. But when someone else is being violated and they're coming to the athletic department, they're coming to the coach, and they're saying, look, this happened to me and one of your players did to me. Like the Oakman kid, who, by the way, didn't he just catch a charge, but right before the draft? And he was tweeting about Art Briles. Like, these kids started tweeting on Friday about, like, wake up. If nothing, and no one, like, okay, you want to support your man, that's your coach, that's the guy that recruited you. I understand some of the family dynamics of these dudes, man. They feel like this is like their father figure and all that kind of stuff. That's fine and dandy, right? But the one thing that didn't happen, that I didn't see, maybe someone can tell me that they saw it, that none of these dudes that was all on, man, you know, Art Briles is a great guy, he's a great coach, he's this, that, and the other. Nobody said anything about the women. No one had anything to say about these women, man. Like, yeah, okay, this dude lost the job. He deserved to lose it. You know what I mean? If you're commissioned and you're being paid to be the overseer of this program that has brought this entire school to national prominence, yeah, you're probably going to be the first head to roll. Even though, crazy thing is, even though many people felt like because of the job that he did at Baylor with their football program, that he would survive this. Imagine that. Imagine that. So then Baylor, they suspend him with a pending termination, and then bumped up the defensive coordinator to the interim head coach. Which, hold on, wait a minute, let's think about something real quick. A lot of the players that fall under this umbrella of accusations, guess what? They play defense. How does that work? So Briles knew, but the defensive coordinator, who probably spends more time with them, didn't know anything. You can't do that. So today, Baylor got former Wake Forest coach Jim Grobe as the interim coach, guy who won the ACC championship at Wake Forest. Which, if you don't know, that's a monumental feat in and of itself. They play in like a high school stadium. Well, at the time they did. I don't know if they got new facilities or anything of that nature, but it's a smart school, you know, smart school, school of former Atlanta Falcons fullback Ovi Mahaley. I don't know if that makes the school. I don't know if you know Ovi, and anyway, it's supposed to be an academic school. You know what I mean? Mike Singletary's name also came up, but you know, when's the last time we seen Mike Singletary do anything as a head coach? I mean, let's keep that real. Mac Brown, former Texas coach, which, you know, it's still that Texas football thing. You can understand why they may not want Texas's old coach. So they've settled on this guy, Jim Grobe. They've hired him as the interim coach. He's not the full-time coach, because there's a lot that's going to happen with this program through this. You know, kids are already starting to ask for their releases. Kids are decommitting. And the funny thing is, in reading what these kids are writing or tweeting about, I can't tell if it's because Art Briles got fired and they want to play for Art Briles, or because of, you know, they don't want to be involved in a school that stood by guys who sexually assaulted women, stood by them and defended them in a lot of cases. I can't tell which side of the things these kids are falling on. You know what I mean? Because the calling card of the Baylor Bears was that offense. You know, you've seen the scores, 70-something points a game, not a game, but, you know, there's nothing from the score 50 points in the ball game, 60 points in the ball game, because of Art Briles' offense. Now, this guy, what I said his name was, Jim Grobe, he has no ties to any of that offense. So we'll see. And again, that's the story of the football team going forward. It's an afterthought. I'm going to come back from a break, and I'm going to get more in depth into some of the things that have actually gone on. Give you guys some more details on the things that have actually occurred on the campus. This is the One Mike with Big Mike show. I'm Big Mike, here till maybe 9 or so. I'm not sure. We got Game 7 tonight, so I'm trying to get up out of here and get my feel of this Game 7 Western Conference Finals game. Check out the website, please, onemikewithbigmike.com, and send all your friends there. If you're listening live right now, you know, also, you know, spread the word, man. Invite your friends to check the show out. I love to hear your comments and your questions in my live interactive chat room. To get there, just click on that little thought bubble you see on the streaming player. That'll get you into the live chat room, whether you're listening via the app, the Spreaker app, whether you're listening via the website. You can access the chat room both ways. Also, when you're not here, if you want to check out a little bit early, whatever, and come back, don't worry. All archived episodes can be found on the website. They can be found on Spreaker, TuneIn, iTunes if you have those apps on your phone already, as well as the YouTube app. So, like I said, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to get into more details about what actually happened, and the things and the cover-up itself. I'll do that next.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better, and kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
Hey, Nick Cannon here. So of course we all know there's lots of talent in America. But unfortunately, there's something else we've got way too much of. Childhood hunger. 17 million kids struggle with it in this country. But here's the thing. This problem is entirely solvable. Seriously, we already produce more than enough healthy, nutritious food in this country to feed every single last one of those hungry kids. We just need a way to get it to them. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is out there every day gathering surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families all across the country. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're Feeding America.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the One Mike with Big Mike show. I'm your host, Big Mike. Hope everybody's enjoying their Memorial Day weekend. And while you're enjoying your Memorial Day, I hope you guys are taking some time out to lend your thoughts to the people who have, given their lives for whatever reason, whatever you believe in, the validity of the wars that the country is currently in and have been in for the last, over a decade or so. That's a conversation, I think, for another day. Today is a day where you should show your appreciation for the people who, whether they question it or not, they do their duty and they go about defending whatever it is that they believe or not believe that they're defending on our behalf, though. So enjoy your Memorial Day. Again, this is the One Mike with Big Mike show, heard right here on Spreaker.com, SPREAKR.com, as well as the app, and on my website, the number 1 MICWITHBIGMIKE.com. That's One Mike with Big Mike.com. Also, you guys can get earlier episodes of the show in both of those places, as well as on TuneIn and iTunes and YouTube as well. You guys jump on in the live interactive chat room and join the conversation. You guys can be a part of the show as well by if you're listening right now on that streaming player that you're listening on, there's a little thought bubble on there. Just click on that thought bubble, and that's your direct access to my live interactive chat room where you guys can talk back and forth with me. You can ask me questions. You can give me comments. You can talk amongst yourselves within the chat room. All those things are possible. Before the break, I was talking about the situation that occurred at Baylor before the weekend started on Friday or so. I couldn't do a show on Friday because my lady was having some problems with her breathing and all that, so she had to be admitted to the hospital. So I spent the most of my weekend at Piedmont. Yeah, that was something. But she's all right now, and I'm back today to give my thoughts. So I said I wanted to kind of give you guys some insight. If you hadn't had a chance to delve into it, and you've just been hearing what's been said on ESPN and their little 5-minute talking segments or whatnot. This is this thing that's going on culturally, not just with the Baylor team or the Baylor program, but nationwide. This article talks about how the school's administration believed it had no responsibility to educate allegations of sexual assault, that it was the court's problem, not Baylor's. See, that's just passing the buck, man. Because with Title IX, you're supposed to have systems in place to deal with those things. And also, like I mentioned in the first segment, not discourage the people who are alleging these things happening to them, not discouraging them from going to the authorities in fear of developing a bad reputation for your program. Sorry about that. Before I go any further, because I will forget, and I kind of get trapped into this mode that I'm in, because this is a very serious topic to me. You know what I mean? I'm a person who doesn't believe in people with power abusing that power and using it to create a situation where the powerless are abused. You know what I mean? And this is a prime example of that. But before we go on and get into all that kind of stuff, we got to take a look back. This is the time in the show where we take a look back in our daily segment called On This Day.
Now, let's take a look back. On this day.
All right, your Memorial Day edition. Yes, indeed. Your Memorial Day edition of On This Day starts off on this day in 1894. Bobby Lowe. He's the first to hit a home run, or to hit 4 home runs in one baseball game. That's pretty, that's some trivia stuff. Who's the first man to ever hit 4 home runs in a baseball game? His name was Bobby Lowe. On this day in 1904, Frank Chance, he gets hit by a pitch 5 times. It was a doubleheader, though, if that makes it any better. I don't know. On this day in 1935, Babe Ruth, he played his final Major League game. He went hitless for the Boston Braves against the Philadelphia Phillies. Babe Ruth played 22 seasons. He won 10 World Series tournaments, is what it says, and scoring 714 home runs. He's the third, if you go officially, third all-time home run leader behind Barry Bonds and Hammer and Hank Aaron. On this day in 1953, the first Major League Baseball TV network baseball game happened between the Cleveland Indians, who scored 7 runs, beating the Chicago White Sox with only 2 runs. On this day in 1971, the Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays, he hit his 638th home run, and he also set a National League record with 1,950 runs scored. And finally, on this day in 1996, Sky Point, never forget, Albert Bell uses a forearm to break up a double play and nearly breaks Milwaukee Brewers second baseman Fernando Vina's nose. Bell gets a 2-game suspension. He only got 2 games for that. Now, if you want to go to YouTube and check that out, if that happened today, they bounced that dude for a week. This was way worse than worser. It was way worse than that Odor thing on Jose Bautista. Is his name Jose Bautista? Yeah. It's way worse than that, because at least in that situation, they were both squared off. Albert Bell, this dude was trying to turn a double play or field the ball at second base. Albert Bell just gave him like a nut if you buck bow to the mouth and just walked off the field, and no one said anything. There was no bench clearing of any kind. Albert Bell was just, he was just that rude dude, man. And ladies and gentlemen, that is your Memorial Day edition of On This Day. All right, now back to the topic at hand. The Baylor, the Baylor, we'll call it the Baylor football situation. Sexual assault allegations going unchecked with their football players, like guys like Sean Oakman. I just saw this kid's name during the break, the kid I was talking about. Tevin Elliott, sentenced to 20 years for rape in 2014. It's 2 years ago, not even 2. Elliott was tried for crimes against 1 woman. 2 other women testified that he had sexually assaulted them, and evidence was submitted from a 4th. Where I'm from, we call that serial, man. It's a serial rapist. And this dude was playing big-time college football. Not like it would make a difference if he was playing at, Tennessee Tech. That wouldn't make a difference, but it's just, when these dudes are directly tied to the success of a team and a program and subsequently a school, It's ridiculous. And going back to the thought that it's not a Baylor program issue, it's for the courts and the legal system. This article that I'm reading from Slate.com brings up a very good point. And it says that schools can provide things that police and courts can't, such as mental health counselors or a new dormitory assignment across campus from the assailant. Like, if you're going to have them there, the accuser, the person who feels like they've been wrong, shouldn't have to live amongst that person. That's way too crazy for me to even, and maybe it's just my age that these things are just, they get to me so much more now. And like, my niece is 13. She got time before she goes to college. I got a niece by marriage that's in college now, which, it's, it's weird, man. It's a weird feeling to know that this situation is not a safe situation. Like, being on a college campus isn't a safe situation. And I'll go further into depth in that before I get into, of course, I'm going to talk about NBA basketball and all that, but this has been kind of bubbling in me all weekend when I couldn't do the show on Friday. This is like the spillover, and I don't know if 2 hours is going to be enough to hold everything I have to say. I talked about the police kind of thwarting the investigations, man. And one thing I saw in the documentary that I watched the other day was the police officer that was investigating the Jameis Winston situation at Florida State. Just kind of switch gears a little bit. He was also a Florida State alum, and he was a part of a group that raised funds for the Florida State athletic department. Like, my God, is there a conflict of interest? Like, maybe I'm just not smart enough to understand what that is, but it sounds like one to me. Now, I'll say what I've said all along about this Jameis Winston situation. I think it's unfair. I don't want to use the word fair. It's not prudent to take one side over the other based on how shoddy of a job the investigation into this allegation was. You know what I mean? Like, because the easiest thing to do and the laziest thing to do is to kind of just turn this into some sort of like, yeah, Jameis Winston, concocted this mass cover up. No. He is also a pawn in this game that people play. These people who wrap their lives around the success and failures of 20-year-olds on a football field. These people who want to feel like they're a part of something that big when really you're nothing. Like, you have whatever you think you are, and yet you think you're screaming louder than everybody else at the football game, and you smashing TVs on YouTube and all this kind, or on social media and all this kind of stuff. You're an idiot. So what ends up happening is this young lady says that he forcefully had sex with me. Jameis Winston says that the sex that I had with her was consensual. Now, amidst all that, there are adults in place. There are people who are tasked with doing a thorough investigation on this incident to either affirm these accusations or clear the kid's name. If Jameis Winston raped this girl, he needs to go to jail. If he didn't, it needs to be proven that he didn't. You know what I mean? But because people took it upon themselves to, say this girl isn't credible, and they have videos of people saying, oh, she's just jealous and she wants to be a part of this amazing season we're having. Not from anybody that played football, by the way. It's just other drunk college students. It's unfair to both of them. You know what I mean? It's really not a good look for either one of the accuser or the accused when people take it upon themselves to determine the outcome of something based on their personal interest in the situation. Florida State at the time is going for a national championship. You got idiots like Skip. They have clips of idiots like Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. Oh, it smells to high heaven. Why is it coming out now? Now that this young man who everybody loves, and come on, man, every criminal ain't like Charles Manson had a magnetic personality, and people seem to think he was a good dude. That's some of the dumbest arguments made in the case for the kid. Instead of just saying, look, man, people who have jobs should do their damn jobs. And then we come up with with educated assessments of what happened. Not because of how much you like somebody. That's ridiculous. A lot of people like Aaron Hernandez. This dude went around killing people and shooting people in the face. So, then there's Ole Miss, right? Who, by the way, I'll say this. I'll say this about Ole Miss real quick. They did something very, very, they did what they did. Well, okay, let me tell you what they did. They released their NCAA notice of allegations on the same day, Friday, and a 154-page response to 28 allegations or 28 alleged violations in 3 sports, 13 of them involving the football team, 9 of them during Hugh Freeze's tenure there, right? 8 of the football allegations are level 1, meaning they're the worst you can be. Now, this stuff has nothing to do with breaking laws, by the way. You know, there are accusations of academic fraud, which, you know, I talk about that ad nauseum when I talk about this whole idea of amateurism and student athletes or whatever. And people, they're getting a free education. Their education in a lot of these cases ain't worth crap. Look at Syracuse. Look at North Carolina. These dudes are sitting there graduating from these prestigious universities with 5th grade reading skills. Yeah, these cats are there to play football and basketball. That's what they're there for. And, of course, because of what happened during the draft, Laramie Tunsil was at the forefront of a lot of this stuff. Kid who, I didn't even realize this happened. You know, when they had that Robert Kindici recruiting class and all these top names. I remember telling the host of the show I produced when I was producing here for CBS, I told him, I was like, yeah, dude, the clock is ticking on these sanctions. Ain't no damn way in the hell that Ole Miss just popped up with the #1 recruiting class. And I wasn't the only one that smelled it. Laramie Tunsil, first of all, remember, Kindici was going to Clemson. Tunsil was going to Georgia. And at the last minute, all of a sudden, he's an Ole Miss rebel. Yeah, get your ass out of here, man. Now, we know about the text on draft day, how Laramie Tunsil was, you know, he was talking about getting money to pay his mom's light bill. They had somebody leaked a text conversation between he and one of the assistant coaches about getting money to pay his mom's light bill. Like, all this stuff to me is just, it's very pale in comparison to chicks getting sexually assaulted on college campuses in Baylor in this particular instance, right? Now, just to kind of move the Ole Miss situation forward, they're trying to do a lot of stuff, like a lot of fixing here. They're trying to get all the level 1 stuff bumped down so that they don't have to avoid the postseason, because that's where the big money's at, you know, recruiting and all that. To keep up that recruiting, you go to postseason and you go to, like the other year, they were the #1 team in the nation for a couple of weeks. That's probably the highlight of this whole recruiting class, this 2012 recruiting class, which, by the way, also illuminates that you can't just get players in there and win. Like, you kind of need an Urban Meyer. You kind of need a Nick Saban. You kind of need a Chip Kelly. You know, you kind of need the coach, that final piece to put everything together. We've seen it here where I'm at the University of Georgia. Every year, top recruiting class, never won a damn thing. You know what I mean? Can't win nothing. You need that dude, man. And if this doesn't kind of illuminate it, I don't know what does. Anyway, getting back to Laramie Tunsil. This is a funny story, man, because I'm always a dude that's like, I don't care anything about it. Like, to call these, like, people will want to look at this stuff and be like, aha, got you. What? So this kid, Laramie Tunsil, he drove around a couple of loaner cars, you know, from a Nissan dealership. Who cares? He got some money. They put his family up when he came on his visit, you know, spent more money. Because I think you're only allowed, when I went on my visits, it was like 2 people can come with you, if anybody. You know, a lot of them I went by myself. There was only one that my dad and my sister came with me. My mom didn't want to come. Yeah, and then, his stepdad kind of blew the whistle. That's who I think leaked all that stuff about the weed anyway. The weed and the text messages. I don't care what nobody say. Because he's the same dude that told about the $800 somebody gave him about all the free lodging and stuff when they went to Oxford on a couple of different occasions. Yeah, get out of here, man. So I guess my overall point was, I kind of went away from my point, that Ole Miss, they self-reported, quote unquote, and then they do the thing that's come to be the norm. You kind of suggest your punishment, and what they're suggesting is sanctions against Lane Kiffin's brother, who's an assistant, and another guy named Maurice Harris. They also are trying to submit a small reduction in scholarships, 11 over a 4-year period. What was that, 1 point something a year, and disassociating several boosters and one business from the program. All to defend, some dude that's better than all the other dudes, getting a little extra for his effort. Yeah, man. And then it all kind of comes back to, again, these coaches, man, these tough, I know what's going on coaches until you don't. Remember, Hugh Freeze tweeted out, and this is a quote from his tweet, I guess. If you have facts about a violation, email compliance@olemiss.edu. If not, please don't slander the young men. Probably wish he didn't do that. Because when you challenge people, like media people, yeah, it's game on. Let's run it. Let's go with that, and we gonna find out. You gonna find out what we can find out. It's the One Mike with Big Mike podcast here, talking about the world of one college football and the epidemic that is sexual assault on college campuses that has been illuminated this past weekend through what's going on and what's reportedly been going on at Baylor University inside their football program for some years now, man. It's a very unfortunate situation, and I don't mean for the football team. Screw them, man. Because we've gotten into this culture, man, where football trumps everything, even the lives of human beings. Here in Atlanta, the Falcons drafted a kid named Prince Shimbo. Prince Shimbo was accused of sexually assaulting a young lady from, I think, St. Mary's, the sister school of Notre Dame. Nothing was done. Found out that let me tell you how crazy this is. The security people, campus police, let's call them the campus police, they're not allowed to obtain information from student athletes while they're in an athletic facility. So if you do something as a football player or basketball player, just be in the weight room all the time, or be at the stadium or in the locker room all the time, and no one can say anything to you. How ridiculous is that? Not only that, they're also prohibited from obtaining access to said player through athletic staff. So they can't even go to the strength coach and was like, hey, look, man, when so-and-so's done lifting, he need to come talk to us. Nope. The campus police then are in violation. How ridiculous. What kind of culture is that? Even if nothing is going on your campus, which is far from a realism, but even if nothing is going on, you understand what I'm saying? The fact that something like that is in place, it stinks to high hell, man. All the way. So anyway, back to this Prince Shimbo situation. He was accused of sexually assaulting this girl, and like I just mentioned, nothing was done. He continued to play. The people involved in procuring information said, we don't know where he is. Well, he's on the football field in front of 100,000 people. That's where he is. But of course, they can't go and do anything and get to him. Unfortunately, man, this young lady, by all accounts, because of the pressure and the things that she was going through to try to, get some justice for herself, she ended up overdosing and killing herself on pills, man. The Atlanta Falcons drafted him He's no longer, and probably will never ever play in the NFL again, due to the fact that while I guess dog sitting his woman's dog, the story is that he was jealous of the dog, so he kicked the dog to death. This little bitty, I don't really know dog types. I know like Rottweilers and pit bulls and bulldogs, like the ones that everyone knows, German shepherds. But this is one of those little, cutesy girl dogs, and he kicked the dog to death. And then like lightweight admitted it to her. Was like, what would you say? Because I guess she didn't know what happened. He's like, what would you say if I did? Something that a dumbass kid would do. And yeah, the Falcons ended up cutting him. I think charges were pressed against him, animal cruelty type stuff. Which again, like if you want to start going by people's behavior patterns, I don't know how you don't think that what happened with that girl was real. I heard her dad tell the story, man. That's one of the most heartbreaking things ever, man, to believe that, as a dad, you send your daughter to this good school and something like that happens, and then the end result of it is you get a call saying that your daughter has taken her own life. That's rough. That's way too deep and way too rough, man. And that interview or that perspective, and you want to see her dad talk about that, man. I mentioned the documentary, The Hunting Ground. I watched it again today. I watched it the first time a couple months ago. So just late at night, just happened to see it, man. And me and my wife, he was in bed watching it, man. And it really, I talked about it on the show, one of the first shows I did, and I felt like it was worth another look at today, man. I'm sitting here scrolling through my notes right now. Good God, I just start typing things, like typing thoughts, man. At the top of the hour, of course, we're gonna take a break at the top of the hour, and I want to come back. And I want to kind of not wrap the conversation up, but kind of bring it to a little bit of a conclusion, because I don't know how the rest of this stuff is gonna play out with Baylor. To be honest with you, man, people are talking like death penalty stuff, and it's not really. Like, because of what happened at Penn State and what the egg that ended up being on the face of the NCAA, due to what a lot of people are termed as overreaching in the case of Penn State, and then having or feeling the need to come back later on and rescind a lot of the sanctions that they put on Penn State after the Jerry Sandusky situation, it's going to be interesting to see if the NCAA does anything in this matter. You know what I mean? Because a lot of, like, Fed stuff, criminal stuff, happened here. We talking about people being violated and not just being ignored, but in a lot of cases, actively covered up. Official police documents deleted from computers and, for whatever reason, still kept in hard form in a different room. Like, I don't know what kind of fool cover-up that is, but yeah, it's 100% amazing that type of stupidity. And I said it before when I was talking about a couple of, in one of the episodes of the show, talking about that Vanderbilt case. I'm glad that people who do this kind of stuff are that stupid, man, so that they can get caught. Like those kids that raped that girl at Vanderbilt, that was one of the most ridiculous things ever. And I'll talk about it a little bit after a short break. I'm going to come back, and I want to talk about this documentary, but I also want to give some of my thoughts on this whole, the situation as a whole. It's the One Mike with Big Mike show, heard right here on Spreaker.com every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, starting at 7 o'clock. Also being heard on the website, onemikewithbigmike.com. That is the number one, MICWITHBIGMIKE.com. If you didn't hear the beginning of the show, if you're going to have to check out early here, make sure you guys check out the archived episodes. Every episode is saved immediately after it's done. You can go to my website once again, or the Spreaker. They also have an app for Spreaker. Speaking of apps, the TuneIn app will have it, as well as iTunes and YouTube. So it's going to be available at a lot of places. I will appreciate, and I do appreciate the guys and girls who share the show with their friends and help me get my listenership up. I definitely appreciate it. So I'm going to take a quick break here. And I'll come back, and I want to talk a little bit about this documentary before I talk about Game 7, what happened with the Cavs and the Raptors, and the effect that the Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James in particular is having on the Eastern Conference. I'll do all that next right here on One Mike with Big Mike.
We asked kids what it took to be a dad. This is what they had to say. a father is always present. I mean, what real father figure can you have if they're not there?
In order to be a good dad, you need to love your son. You need to put gas in your car so you don't break down in the middle of nowhere. And you need to make them breakfast. Yep.
I mean, just to maybe play like a board game with me, or to just stay home and play some video games with me. Just to do like that one little thing is what I really look forward to.
I'm not asking him to be a perfect dad, but he should try.
He's just a constant force in my life.
There's no other type of love like a dad's love because it's not comparable to anything else.
Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
One mic.
All I need is one mic.
What's the name of the show?
One mic with Big Mike.
You know, ain't nobody getting hurt, ain't nobody, there's no crime being committed.
And they say his style is too urban for the radio.
This is real life stuff that's happened to me.
Well, you know what?
You, and you.
One mic with Big Mike.
I like to be able to do what I want to do.
A sports talk show, but no subject matter is off limits.
Meek Mill's concert is not called the Hell Yeah, I Banged Khloe Kardashian concert.
And now, your host.
Put your hands together for the one, the only
Big Mike.
All I need is one mic.
Hour number 2 of the One Mic with Big Mike show, the Memorial Day edition. Hope everybody's out there enjoying the day off today, the day off from work. And while you're doing that, man, take some time out to, put some things in perspective as far as, these people who we're memorializing today, these soldiers, these guys and girls who we're memorializing today. I'm not a big holiday person. I don't really believe in, planned congregation and all that kind of stuff with Christmas and Easter. But today, I think it's a different day because I think we sometimes can fall into situations where we just kind of, we don't think about why things are the way they are. So many bad things are happening, police killing kids in the street, Donald Trump, all those type of things. So many things are there to, that you can shine a negative light on. But on a day like today, man, you kind of look to the greater good in people who willingly sacrifice for what they believe is the greater good, man. So, salute and shout out to all of those people and the families, the families of the people who we're memorializing today. Well, from the onset of the show, I had a little technical difficulties at the beginning, so that's, weird. But we move on, right? Been talking about the situation, the things that have come down since Friday in relation to the Baylor University football team and Art Briles being fired, also Ken Starr being either fired. He's not the president anymore. This I know. And one of the first people I heard say something about this was, unfortunately, Jason Whitlock. And Jason Whitlock, he started his comment off with saying, like, I'm kind of, I don't have a lot of information on this. This has been going on for a while, man. And it broke probably 90 minutes before he made his appearance on Colin Cowherd's show. So there was time, you know what I mean? But needless to say, Jason Whitlock is a guy who's been accused of a lot of sexism in his career. You know what I mean? He's a guy who really who rarely takes the side of the accused in these type of situations. So he started his statement off, and I immediately got up out of there with how Art Briles is being scapegoated. How this is not just a Baylor thing. Well, yeah, in the grander scheme, it's not. But in this situation, it definitely is. Like, there is some uniqueness to this. You know what I mean? This team and this program that's come out of nowhere to experience national prominence, and it's happened on the back of a lot of unsavory things, more so than a DUI, which I don't condone. Like, of course, no one condones that, but I have very strong feelings on driving under the influence too. You making the decision on your part to take my life, to put my life in danger. That's ridiculous. But this is more than, getting caught with weed or whatever. This is something. These are very, very heavy charges that have been levied, and in some cases, these kids have been convicted on at Baylor. So, in saying all that, I want to also address the part of it not just being a Baylor situation, the sexual assault aspect of it, not just being something that's exclusive to Baylor. I've been mentioning throughout the show a CNN documentary called Hunting Ground, and this documentary goes into detail on how serious this, as they put it, epidemic is in campuses across the country. And one of the surprising parts of it, and maybe not so surprising, but it's not just talking about football powerhouse teams, or schools, I should say. Schools that you've never heard of. Schools like Occidental. I've never heard of that. I mentioned St. Mary's in the last segment. Swartsworth. Swartsmore, I guess is what it's called. These high and tight hoity-toity schools like Harvard and Cal Berkeley and Dartmouth. Stanford, who, by the way, if you don't know this, before the Jim Harbaugh era, Stanford was nobody's college football powerhouse. This is recent success for them as well. George Washington, Yale. This documentary documents a lot of what's, again, described as an epidemic of sexual assault on these campuses. The first thing that really came to mind when watching this, and then watching it again today, was how there needs to be a need. There's a need, I should say, for redefining this moniker, the college experience. Because a lot of people think it's like the thing you do is go to college and you party and you get drunk and you experiment with drugs and all this kind of stuff. Well, okay, until it starts turning into these negatively life-altering experiences. One of the people in the documentary talked about alcohol being used as a weapon. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. But on college campuses across this country, underage drinking, there's a blind eye turn to it because it's looked upon as being a part of the college experience. I want to share some numbers with you guys before I really get into this that were alarming to me. And if you're a parent, these are things that you should probably hear. At 16%, at the time of this documentary, 16% of women attending college are sexually assaulted. The problem also, there's also another problem. That 88% is a problem with that number, I should say. That 88% of women don't even report being sexually assaulted. And, I already hear guys who say, well, how bad could it be? Say something, tell somebody. Well, as we move through these numbers, you'll find that everyone has a problem to them. Only 26% of the 16% that are reported, resulting in arrest, man. Like, dudes aren't even being expelled from school. And then when they are, they're allowed to appeal without the accuser being involved in the appeal process, by the way. It'd be like somebody committing, like, terrible homicides and coming up for a what is it called? Parole hearing, right? And no one tells the family of the victim that this dude who ruined your life, it has made an indelible mark on your life in a negative sense, has a chance to get out of jail, but we're not even going to tell you about it. That's just how ridiculous things are on a lot of these college campuses. What's even more ridiculous of a number is with everything that we know, that sensible people know, there are colleges who still claim that we don't have that type of stuff at our school. And that in and of itself is a problem, man. The fact that you would prefer to turn a blind eye. And it's not by accident. There's way, and I harp on this a lot, man. And using terms like too much money isn't really something that I try to do a lot. You know what I mean? Like, the sex was too good. Like, those type of things, you know what I mean? My steak was cooked way too good, way too well. No, those type of things don't really go together all the time. But in college sports, in colleges altogether, it's way too much about now the glitz. Like, this whole term of place of higher education is ridiculous in so many different ways. When colleges are fighting to see who can put up the best university center, they become like country clubs. College becomes a country club. Olympic-sized pools and state-of-the-art weight rooms. I'm not even talking about the football team. I'm talking about for just your average college student. And in such, they try to justify, these ballooning prices on tuition. And when there's money involved, because a lot of these sexual assaults, while some are attributed to the athletic programs, the basketball, football, baseball, whatever, swimming team, whatever athletic program, a good majority of them, a good part of them, are also associated with fraternities, the fraternities that are on campus. And while watching this documentary, something came to mind. The things that we deem to be important, and especially as men, right? The things that we deem to be important on the campus of Missouri, right? Things was going a way that the students didn't think they should in the matter of race. Well, they did everything in their power. The football team stood up, got the president fired, got the chancellor fired, right? In Oklahoma, some drunk-ass frat boys are singing a racist song about no N-words to ever be in this fraternity, or talking about lynching black people. Oklahoma shut down the entire fraternity on that campus. You know what I mean? And what you end up realizing with these type of things, with those two things happening, but no one wanting to hear, and everyone wanting to just deflect the issue of sexual assault, is, again, I made this comment in the first hour. Women don't matter. A woman's well-being doesn't matter. And people can try to convince me of otherwise, but the evidence shows differently. You got a culture of sexual. The culture is so bad in sexual assault. The SAEs, the same fraternity that was singing this racist song and caused all this uproar and people going crazy about the song. Nothing that affects you physically, or no one's putting their hands on you, or nothing that it's a song, right? The same fraternity, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, the SAEs, the women across the country commonly refer to these guys or those initials as sexual assault expected. It's so frequent that the fraternity has the largest, I think one of the largest fraternities in the country, has developed that reputation. But see, herein lies the problem, though. Because they're so big, a lot of the alums from these fraternities and subsequently these colleges are millionaires, billionaires, politicians, people with pull. And the last thing you want to do if you're on the campus of Dartmouth or Harvard or Cal Berkeley, these people are donating hundreds of millions of dollars yearly to these academic, in quotation marks, institutions. You don't want to piss these people off. You know what I mean? I learned from the documentary that the primary job of a university president is to raise money. Well, the last thing you want to do is then, cut the nuts off the money givers. So when some girl comes and says, look, man, I was at this party and I was sexually assaulted, you act like you're going to help her, but then the next thing she realizes that people are starting to ask her questions like, what were you wearing? How did you say no if you said no? What did you drink? Maybe you have the drinking problem. Or making excuses for the dudes that do it. Well, he might be going through a lot right now. These are all things that came out of this documentary. And I remember maybe a couple of weeks ago, Killer Mike said something in the regards of anytime money and morality fight, money's going to win out. And this is what you're seeing right now with these big-time football programs, these brand new stadiums that are popping hundreds of $millions on college football stadiums, weight rooms. UCLA just signed like this $280 million contract with Under Armour. There's so much money flowing in and out of these programs, television money, that the job of the administration got nothing to do with protecting the kids, man. Not even the football players. You're gonna play football, and you're gonna be an athlete, and we're just gonna call you a student athlete and act like you're around here getting some sort of education when you're not. In a lot of cases, I should say, you're not. I wanted to make sure I gave you guys some, because I know there's a large sentiment that says that people like to say, but so many times, man, these girls, they say this stuff because they're embarrassed and this, that, and the other. Well, here's what the numbers say. These gallant polls, the same polls they use for political candidates and things of that nature, somewhere between 2 to 8% is the variation of the cases reported are false reports. That would mean somewhere between 92 and 98% are true. That doesn't vibe with the number that only 26% of the cases that are reported leading to arrest. Those numbers don't vibe. And when we talk about the situation, let's take Baylor into consideration. And I talked about this kid that's now doing 20 years in jail, and the fact that the evidence was put forth showing that he's a serial offender. Well, he fits the mold of less than 8% of the men who commit these crimes. Of the 8% of men who commit these crimes, well, hold on. Let me back up. Let me give it to you accurately. Only 8% of men commit 90% of the sexual assaults. And the average sexual assault offender repeats like 6 times. On an average of 6 times. That's a real crazy world to live in when that's a thing. And I always talk about how the people who aren't directly affected by the situation, I think a lot of times should have the loudest voice. You know what I mean? Like the whole if you're not with me, you're against me type thing. Just because not saying nothing or saying nothing isn't good enough. Or saying I don't have an opinion. If you're a dude, you should. You definitely should. You know what I mean? Because on so many of these college campuses, the people in these positions of power are men. And there's been many a case of women who are maybe professors or some sort of administrator on the campus trying to be an advocate for victims or accusers of sexual assault being retaliated against by the university. Because, once again, we're talking about men being at the helm of these large money-making endeavors and putting more value on the amount of money they can accrue for the university than the safety and the lives of the female students on campus. If you're wondering, just FYI, for some reason, alcohol isn't allowed in sorority houses. This is why the sororities, they party at the frat houses. I don't know why that is, and I didn't take the time to go look for it. I probably should have, but I just find it peculiar that you trust a bunch of horny 20-somethings to get ish faced, but as a woman, you can't even have, even if you're of alcohol consuming legal consuming age, you know what I'm saying, you still can't. Yeah, it's weird. It's so weird, man. All in all, if this doesn't, and I don't know how many people listening right now. I know it's a holiday and all this kind of stuff, but again, the shows are always posted, man, so people can go and I always tweet them out, and I appreciate the people who retweet and like the tweets and share the Facebook stuff and like the Instagram post. And by the way, Instagram and Twitter, make sure you guys are following me at the number 1 MICWITHBIGMIKE.com. So for those people who go back and listen to this, I do absolutely, man, suggest that you guys check out. I just had a brain fart. Hunting Ground, the documentary, the CNN documentary. And once again, man, it's more than just the football program, but in so many of these schools, man, the protection of the money maker, whatever it may be, whether it be like fraternity, former fraternity alumni, whether it be people who are football boosters, they all fall in the same category, man, of dudes who want to have certain influence and power, just like those political, what are they called? What are those people called that influence law and all that kind of stuff because they got a bunch of money? You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm not a real political person, but it's the same thing, man. The people with the cash end up getting what they want and getting people who are in positions of more responsibility to kind of just shuck those responsibilities all in the name of the mighty, mighty dollar. And that's, that's shameful. It's shameful to say the least. I want to take a break here. I know it's a little bit early. I want to take a break here because I want to come back and I want to talk about what's going to happen tonight. I want to talk about what happened over the weekend in the world of the NBA. And then I want to get up out of here, man. I want to go check out Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. Also, this is what I didn't even realize this was a thing. The Roots remake is coming on tonight at 9 on the History Channel. Well, I'll be DVRing it. Apparently Snoop Dogg didn't... I feel so ridiculous about saying this. Snoop Dogg, and I haven't read the article, by the way, so I'll preface my statement with this. Snoop Dogg is asking people to boycott Roots. Let's create our own S based on today. I don't know why you can't have both. People keep the original. Like, how do we do that? How we start doing that? Like, there's nothing better than the original. Well, how you know if you haven't seen the other one? You know what I mean? Like, let's keep it real. Like, Roots, the story is what the experience is about. The first one, right? Because you didn't have all the cinematic advances that you're dealing with today. So I'm gonna watch it. I've already told you guys I'm big time when it comes to like slavery reenactments. I kind of consume all of them. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna say this too. I'm gonna say this: if you watch these things, and I was talking to my wife about this over the weekend. If you watch these things, like I was talking to her about Underground, and there's a lot of like really, really like subliminal things that happen, like through all the kind of bad acting and the and the normal slave cliche stuff that happens in these reenactments. You can actually get yourself some perspective on today's world, and the way things are for in race relations between blacks and whites in today's world. You know what I mean? But it takes a little bit more of getting yourself away from all the emotional stuff that people get wrapped up into when they watch these shows and these movies. You know what I mean? That's just, like, there's certain things kind of take you aback a little bit when people start like crying and getting mad and all that kind of stuff. I remember we went and saw 12 Years a Slave the weekend it opened, and when we were walking into the theater and we were looking for the theater number. They were kind of numbered funny. So I seen the old brother kind of sweeping up, and I was like, my man, where is theater number, I don't know what it was, 11 or whatever. He was like, oh, it's right over there, brother. He's, oh, you about to go, yeah, man, you about to be mad as hell. And I was like, I'm actually not. I kind of know how these things, at this point, I kind of know how these things play out. I'm not going to get in there and be surprised. And just because I'm such an a-hole, I just like to see people uncomfortable and watch people kind of squirm about stuff. It's a movie, man. It's a movie, and if I think a lot of times you get caught up so much in the what, you kind of miss a lot of the subliminal things that are going on in these stories with these storylines. If they're done right, you know what I mean. If they're done right, and I think the guy's name is Steve McQueen, that directed 12 Years a Slave, and I can never think of the dude that wrote it, man. that did the writing. He did the same dude that did what's that ABC show that I love watching? God, I'm so terrible with names. But so yeah, I'm good, man. I don't all the emotion that comes with, the American version of slavery, man. I think sometimes it can become a hindrance in people's lives, man. Instead of just using it for informational purposes and understanding what you're dealing with, people tend to seem to use we and us and what they did to us. Look, man, ain't nobody put no stripes on my back with no whip. You know what I mean? So I can't, and I'm gonna make a conscious effort to stop doing that, to like join these groups subliminally just because of the color of my skin. No, I'm an individual, man. I'm me. I'm Mike. And if something happens and I don't vibe with it, I'm gonna stop saying we and us. To me, I sound stupid when I do it. Anyway, I know I said like 5 minutes ago I was going to take a break. I'll do that. I'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk some NBA, man. This is the One Mike with Big Mike show. Heard every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Most Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, I know. On Spreaker, SPREAKER.com, as well as the app. You also can check it out. And I prefer you go to the website, man. OneMikeWithBigMike.com, the number 1 MICWITHBIGMIKE.com. There you can get chance to listen to the show live. You can get all the archived episodes there as well. You can check out and follow me on all my social media, on my Facebook and my Twitter. And you can send me emails. You guys want to email me, there is a contact page that links directly to my show email, so you guys can do all that as well. I'll be back.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind, like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind, like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama, like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hey, Nick Cannon here. So of course we all know there's lots of talent in America. But unfortunately, there's something else we've got way too much of. Childhood hunger. 17 million kids struggle with it in this country. But here's the thing. This problem is entirely solvable. Seriously, we already produce more than enough healthy, nutritious food in this country to feed every single last one of those hungry kids. We just need a way to get it to them. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is out there every day gathering surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families all across the country. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're Feeding America.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Final segment of the Memorial Day edition of the One Mic with Big Mike show. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with me while you licking your fingers and getting your barbecue on and probably getting faded. I should have probably, you know what I should have done? I should have brought out my my rules for white people attending black people's cookouts. Not barbecues, white people. Cookouts is what we do. What we got to do is, what was I about to say? Anyway, it's the One Mic with Big Mike show. My phone just rang and threw me all the way off. Heard on Spreaker.com as well as on my website, onemicwithbigmike.com. You guys, if you want to check out the shows that I've done previously, or you didn't get a chance to get this show from the beginning, or you got to leave a little bit early or whatnot, and you want to catch the entire situation, the website and Spreaker, Spreaker, they also have an app for Spreaker. You can get all the archived episodes there. You can also get them on YouTube, TuneIn, the iTunes app as well. Everywhere you trying to be, basically. Moving right along, though. Tonight, man. Who thought this was gonna happen? We got a Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals. Now, the Eastern Conference Finals are wrapped up. Game 6 between the Cavs and the Raptors. The Cavs just pushing on in, man. They went on ahead and took care of business. And look, I don't know, maybe shout out to the Raptors. Got 2 games. I said it at the beginning of the series. Like, look, I didn't believe they can get one. Well, I said I wasn't going to believe they can get one until they got one. And they got it. And I was like, well, I believe they can get 2 when they get 2. And then they got it. And that seemed to be it. You know what I mean? DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry went back into that shooting slump that they were in. Bismarck Biyombo became the Matthew Dellavedova of this year. You know what I mean? People was like, "Oh my God, look at this kid Dellavedova last year," and then the shoe dropped, and the pumpkin, the carriage turned back into the pumpkin, and Steph Curry started dancing with this boy at the 3-point line. Yeah, that happened. So the Eastern Conference is wrapped. And the one thing I'm gonna mention this before I get into Game 7 tonight, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. LeBron James is now going to his 6th straight finals, all 6. 7 overall, but all 6 straight in the Eastern Conference. And it would seem like we look at what's going on in Philly, who, by the way, seems to be looking for trade partners with they're looking for trade partners for, or somebody to trade them for, either Jahlil Okafor or what's the other kid's name from Kentucky? Joel Embiid, I think. Not Joel Embiid. Golly, what's the other tall kid from Kentucky? And I thought about them, like, are they just kind of like biding their time and waiting for LeBron to like fall off? And I mean, because like last year, the Atlanta Hawks won 60 games, most games in franchise history, all for naught. Because inevitably, as that number 1 seed, and I still do believe that even last year, the Cleveland Cavaliers were the best team in the East. They started off slow, trying to find that chemistry between their quote unquote big 3. And then they kind of found it a little bit, and then LeBron came off of his sabbatical or his time away and turned into LeBron, and they ended up having the best record after the All-Star break in the East. So then when they met the Atlanta Hawks in the finals, the conference finals last year, the Hawks were just overmatched. There was a better team in front of them, even without Kevin Love. Kevin Love getting hurt in the first round. And then this year, the number 2 seed, or the second best team by record, you could say, was the Toronto Raptors. And even through that, everybody was really just saying, man, I can't wait to see the Heat play the Cavs in the finals, because Toronto just, was no match. There is no team, actually, Like the Miami thing might have been a little interesting because Dwayne Wade found his game a little bit. Of course, Hassan Whiteside until he got hurt. That was going to be something. They acquired Joe Johnson after he got bought out by the Brooklyn Nets, and Luol Deng, he found his way of playing in that small lineup. He's going to be playing the 4. Things started kind of coming together for them. But even still, LeBron still, he still was popping in the East. So it would almost seem like smart money to kind of like look at what the Celtics are doing. The Celtics are like kind of just hanging in the wind. They got 1 million draft picks. They got a nice young star type player in Isaiah Thomas and a couple of other dudes, Sullinger and the kid from Oklahoma State, Marcus Smart, Crowder and those. But they got a couple, cool parts. But in no way are they ready for that. They ain't ready to take a bite of that out of that LeBron sandwich. No, that's too much. That's too big of a meal. So that being said, if you're a team in the East, maybe you just kind of hang out. You do enough to make your fans happy, and the understanding being that LeBron is still here, man. We're not getting past that until he's ready. Until Father Time get ready for somebody else in the East to get past LeBron. Especially while he got Dan Gilbert's checkbook in his pocket. He can go get whoever he want and pay whatever he want for him. Yeah, it's a mixture of everything bad. And I also say this, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about this with LeBron as we get closer to the finals, but this dude is about to put himself in a very rare space. If he finds himself, are these dudes? I'm looking at something on ESPN. These dudes are playing Madden on that screen at AT&T and at Jerry's World. Corey Coleman, a couple of these dudes, Jalen Ramsey, and these. What the hell is happening? That's hey, hey, man. But anyway, LeBron's gonna put himself in a space where a lot of people, white people, owners, never wanted to see. Like that was the biggest problem with him. LeBron, like when he left to go to Miami, like who the hell this dude think he is taking his own career in his own hands and exhibiting this amount of power. And now look what's happening. He's handpicking his teammates. He's making the owner spend whatever. Like they got the largest payroll I think in history, in NBA history, and it ain't even close. Luxury tax and all that. He got Dan Gilbert spending out the ass to bring Cleveland a championship. And if it happens, man, think about that. Because I'm the same person who said a while back, like, look, man, this dude playing a real dangerous game. Like, he's put himself in a position where everyone knows he's the decision maker. David Blatt being fired, Kevin Love being traded for Andrew Wiggins and the other kid, Bennett, which no one cares about that. But Andrew Wiggins was a big piece. Tristan Thompson getting paid like out the ass. Dudes like Channing Frye coming in. Like those moves are LeBron James's moves, man. And he was really set up to, I think, maybe get more justified criticism for that than leaving and going to Miami. Like whatever, who wouldn't? But in this case, like you're the architect, B. And if it doesn't fail, it needs to fall on you. But on the other end, this is what I didn't discuss. Like, if it works, holy crap. Yeah, you talking about being the king. My man. But moving on to the night, man. Game 7. Here's the situation with game. I'm going to say this first and foremost about this game. The Thunder lost 108-101 on Saturday to tie the series up 3-3 after leading the series 3-1. And everyone kind of left the Golden State Warriors for dead. I'm going to say this, man. How do you lose? Like, I don't want to see either of these teams not go to, like, I want to, like, if it wasn't LeBron and waiting for him in the finals, I would just be good watching this series. But I think either team is going to give the Cavs, or the Cavs give them, it's going to be a good series against the Cavs. And my overall point is that how do we lose as basketball fans? Like, if you're not, from Oklahoma City, if you're not from the Bay, and you're just a basketball fan, and you call yourself rooting for either team, because there are a lot of people that are rooting against the Golden State Warriors. People who don't think a jump shooting team should win a championship. Last year they got lucky and all this kind of stuff, where everybody's want to kill Steph Curry, unanimous MVP. Look at him getting worked by Russ, as though Russ is some sort of bum, like it's like it's Ish Smith, Reggie Jackson or something. Now, Reggie Jackson ain't no bum, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't Russ. These dudes ain't Russell Westbrook. Like, Russell, he give it to everybody. You know what I mean? It's just real. Colin Cowherd, everybody. Like, he came on. I saw him last week. Maybe it wasn't Friday, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. Him do a show kind of bragging about, 2 million views of this video of him talking about how Steph is getting work and how Russ is just the more physical player and all this kind of stuff, as though, like, we don't understand who that dude is. And he can't be the most pointed part of his whole, let's call it a rant. Not really, but let's call it that, because that's the word most commonly used. His bigger point, like, everything he said got negated by the fact that Steph Curry being the unanimous MVP rubbed him the wrong way. Like, who gives a damn? Like, because then what you're doing is you're arguing about who had the best second or third place finish. Like, but by the way, the argument is that LeBron didn't get any first place votes. Why isn't the argument that Kawhi Leonard finished over LeBron? Like, and his team isn't playing anymore, by the way. The dude who finished second, which seems to be the content of everyone's argument, guess what? He's not even playing anymore. LeBron and Steph are. So if there's something for you to complain about, I don't know how you do it, it's like, whatever, it's second place. Regardless of how many votes, it's second place. Who cares? But the whole Michael Jordan never did. Okay, man, Michael Jordan didn't do everything. Dog. You know what I mean? Shaq didn't do everything. Kobe didn't do everything. LeBron hasn't done everything in the league. There are certain things that have never happened before. No one's ever won 73 games either. But it happened. And you can do all you want to talk about the league being watered down and the competition in the league is bad basketball being played because you want to sully an accomplishment that you thought you would never see, instead of just embracing it and accepting it, man, and saying that was awesome. What them boys did was awesome. Now, moving on to the night. By the way, if you got an extra 29 grand, just hanging out or whatever, you can go check that joint out on the floor. 29 grand for floor seats of the Western Conference Finals Game 7. Go ahead and run that. I'm about $28,999.99 short. So I'll be watching on HD. Excuse me. One of the big stories that came out of Game 5 before Game 6 happened. Russ and KD were asked in a very genuine way too about Steph being an underrated defender. Steph had a couple steals in the end of Game 5 to help seal that victory. And while Kevin is answering the question, Russ he's very tickled by that notion. And people are like, oh man, look at this. Like, people all on this disrespect thing. I don't think the people who've gone through Russell Westbrook's career criticizing the way he played basketball now are talking about how he's figured it out. Here's where you're wrong. Yeah, he's gotten better in a natural progression type way that you would expect to happen to a dude with a dude that talented, right? But he plays the way he plays basketball. You're the one that's changed and are not able to accept it because of what's happened here recently with the team success. Before the playoffs started, y'all was still dogging this dude the same way. But now all of a sudden, it's a part of the cult of likability to be on Team Westbrook, and in doing so, being like F Steph Curry, whatever. These dudes are great. We're going to see a great, and I don't use that word a lot, man. We're going to see a great point guard matchup, man. Whether, like KD said, Steph don't always guard the best point guard. You can say the same thing about Michael Jordan, man. When Michael Jordan, I give you guys this example all the time. When Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls played Reggie Miller and the Pacers, Michael would get on him late in the games if necessary because Phil didn't want this dude chasing Reggie Miller around the court all game long, wasting his legs and taking away from his offense, running through screens, them Davis boys, bumping them big Rick Smiths, killing them with elbows coming through screens. No. So, like, this is not something that's unique to Steph. There's very few people that can do that, man. Very few people that can chase around the best player on the other team and still contribute offensively, adequately, at an all-star level. But you still got the dude who led the league in steals, so there's some semblance of defense there. In Game 6, you saw him show up late in the game getting steals against Kevin Durant, who, by the way, struggled mightily, shot about 30%. Russ didn't shoot well either. Ibaka, 1 point in the second half. Everyone's favorite guy, Steven Adams, seemed to kind of fade a little bit. And Draymond showed back up, man. And with Draymond showing back up, a couple things happened. Andre Iguodala was able to play better defense. That veteran Andre Iguodala, the other AI, showing his worth to this team in another playoff run, another more improbable than last year, playoff run or comeback to tie the series up with them playing defense against Kevin Durant late in the ball game, man. The small ball, the lineup of depth that Billy Donovan and the boys seem to have figured out. Now that Draymond's come to play, man, they not dominate as much on the offensive glass. They still getting a whole lot of second chance opportunities, man. But I think the Warriors are doing a much better job of scrambling on defense and getting timely rebounds and steals and getting themselves in the transition. And then their shot making. Like, Klay Thompson is a dude that I'm always talking about. Like, once the feeling gets there, because his release is always so consistent, it's like you can play a loop of one of them, and it'll be just like watching one shot attempt, and it'll be like watching 20 of them. They look the same, man. When he's on and gets locked in, things like that happen. 36-point quarters happen with this dude, man. And last Saturday night, man, he was shooting from everywhere. He did that thing that we saw sometimes with those old Bulls team. When, like, Mike wasn't really on, or like he wasn't on all the time. This dude didn't shoot 90%. Michael Jordan didn't shoot 90% in playoff games throughout his playoff career. No, there were games that he was off, man, and other dudes had to do things to keep them in the game so that when those times came, the dude that's that dude did what that dude does. And we saw that on Saturday, man. I'm mad excited, man, about what's about to happen tonight. And I feel a certain type of way about that, man. Like, I feel like because I feel that way and I'm putting so much on it, I'm going to definitely be let down. That it's not going to show up the way I'm hoping it does, man. I love watching, like great point guard matchups, man. I guess in the next series, man, we get another one, man. We get Kyrie, and either Kyrie against Steph. We didn't get that last year, man. We didn't get Kyrie and Steph. And, of course, last year, what Golden State's going to do is put Klay on Kyrie. But Kyrie's probably going to check Steph, man. Or we're going to get Russ and Kyrie. Look, man, I'm not losing. Y'all can argue about, this team sucks. This one, they blew it. Everyone's talking about how Golden State blew it. Or not Golden State. The Thunder blew it coming down the stretch. And look, man, the other guys get paid money too, man. Like, Golden State for the last 2 years has been a very, very, like, people want to paint them in the corner of being this jump shooting, flashy transition team. But they've been one of the top teams in defensive efficiency the last 2 years, man. And when they turn it on, and they start scrambling and contesting everything and getting rebounds and getting out on the break, that's when you done, man. Because you start losing dudes. You start losing those two light-skinned dudes, man. They bright as hell, but you start losing them around that arc, it spells problems, man, because when you getting 2 points per shot and they getting 3, no lead is safe. You go into the fourth quarter with an 8-point lead. I think you had 13 at the end of the first quarter. Up 13 at the end of the first quarter. Up 8 going into the fourth, and it's hard to hold on to that when them dudes is playing like that, man. Like this is gonna go. If they end up pulling this game out tonight, they being the Warriors, man, it's time to stop, man. It's time to stop talking about the season being a failure after 73. You know, if you get 73 and not a championship, like that's what you're talking about is not easy. This is not the Mariners, man. It's not that 113, 116. How many ever wins that Mariners team had? They had one jack. This team is coming off of a championship. You know what I mean? On some real stuff, it's house money time, man. All those dudes was there last year. Except Verajao. Who, by the way, if Cleveland wins, he gets a ring too. So all those dudes have rings. You know, in certain situations outside of Golden State winning, outside of the Thunder winning. Let me make sure and also for all the Mark Jackson lovers, you dudes and girls, look, man, Steve Kerr is doing a hell of a job. You know what I mean? Like, you look at that dude, he don't panic. He picks and chooses his spots where he kind of like lets it go. But he's a dude who, you can tell, man, he's very in tune with this team. You know what I mean? And when adjustments need to be made, we've seen it over the last 2 years. This is a guy who can make the adjustment and get more out of his players and get maximum. Get his players to maximize their efforts, man. And we're sitting here looking at a Game 7 when that was one of the most improbable things. The Golden State had 3 games to win one. Not Golden State. Sorry. The Oklahoma City Thunder had 3 games to win one. And now it all comes down to this, man. You know, and also going back to the Mark Jackson thing, just tell yourself this, man. If Mark Jackson obviously wants to coach because he's still interviewing, but if he was that good of a coach, he wouldn't be at that table with Van Gundy still. Like, Van Gundy's name gets mentioned in the same way that Gruden's name gets mentioned. Van Gundy ain't about to do no more damn coaching. But every time his name gets mentioned and there's a threat of him leaving, he can go back to ESPN and get more money. Van Gundy's so comfortable, man. That dude ain't coached in the NBA in 10 years. Meanwhile, Frank Vogel leaves Indiana, boom, another job. Thibodeau takes a year off, boom, another job. Mark Jackson, on the other hand, yeah, crickets. Let's keep interviewing Mark. And you can't even pull that NFL stuff with, like, oh, man, they ain't doing nothing for the brothers. Of course they are. Of course. The NBA is full of black coaches. To the point where we don't even call them black coaches. They just coaches. You know what I mean? So, whatever. New dude, the dude from Miami just getting a gig. Yeah, man. It's all good. Sometimes you just got to face that dude may not be what you think he is, man. And, like, none of us are inside these organizations to know what's being said. Well, we've heard things that have been said about Mark Jackson. One, he's a huge Jesus freak. And when I say that, that's not even a term I'm using lightly. Like, he's on the corner. Just Google it. He's on the corner, like, screaming at people about, you know, the world ending and the Lord being your only God, your only king, and all this kind of craziness. Come on, man. Come on, dude. All right. Just that. You know what I mean? Game 6, by the way. For those of you who care about this kind of stuff, the highest rated game all year in the NBA. All year, man. Yeah, that's why I said, man, if it wasn't for LeBron sitting over there on that other side, I'd be good. I'd be good watching this series and calling this the championship and, like, just changing the rules a little bit. It's going to be interesting today, man, tonight, to see how the game is reffed, man. To see, because sometimes in these type of situations, dudes have a tendency to kind of try to do more. And I think that may have been the case in the last game with Russ and Kevin feeling that, for lack of a better word, pressure. You know what I mean? To get this done at home and not go back to Oracle. And now they're in that situation. We'll see how they respond, and we'll see how the referees call this game as far as, you know, Draymond, and he's got his technical situation. He's got the situation with the flagrants. That's still, you know, kind of hanging over his head. You know, Russ can sometimes be a volatile character as well in his play. Klay Thompson, Andrew Bogut, guys who find themselves in foul trouble sometimes, man. I'm interested to see how it plays out, and we're going to find out here in another couple minutes, man. That's going to do it, man. I'm going to go ahead and hit this damn music, and wrap this puppy up, man. And I'm going to go set the DVR for Roots 1 and then enjoy Game 7, man. I hope you guys too, man. I hope you guys are safe out there for your Memorial Day as well, man. And everybody, wakes up tomorrow morning. You know what I mean? Because these are the type of holidays that we see so many, senseless tragedies happen, man, because you're celebrating and you're enjoying your time, and the alcohol consumption is there, man, and some people make the wrong decisions when it comes to, hopping in the car. I hope that doesn't happen to anybody, man, but, the odds are that it will, unfortunately. It's a One Mic with Big Mike show. Appreciate everybody for joining me, all the people who listen live and then join the chat room. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys telling your people about it, sharing the show with your friends, liking it on Facebook and Instagram and retweeting and all those good things, man. I definitely 100% appreciate it. Don't forget, I'll be back on Wednesday for the Hump Day edition on the website, onemicwithbigmike.com, Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com, as well as the app for all my archived episodes. This one will be up in a couple of minutes here on TuneIn, iTunes, YouTube as well, man. You guys have a great rest of your Monday. I'll talk to you in a couple of days.